What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and according to Adam Schefter, general manager interviews are officially underway for the New York Jets, which in and of itself is exciting. Now, we're familiar with one of the two names here, Tennessee Titans former GM Jon Robinson, and the new name is Louis Reddick, a name that's really popped out of nowhere, former player, current NFL media member, NFL insider / analyst, something along those lines, right? Now, the early experience here doesn't inspire confidence to me. And I go back to the conversation that Rick Spielman detailed out during one of his CBS Sports podcast interviews, where he mentioned during the early tenure, and this is maybe about 3 weeks to a month ago now, the early tenure of them gathering everything was deciding what traits did the New York Jets want to look for in their head coach and GM? What attributes did they display? What are the check boxes in terms of what we're looking for, right? A guy that has former experience as head position, a guy that has a certain threshold for wins potentially, a guy that has a renowned draft record, for example. So those are the kind of things I was keeping in mind as we've been going through the GM candidate list. Certain names that have been tossed out there. Now, from the Jon Robinson perspective, it makes sense. Former GM, has a high enough reputation as a good drafter, even though the end of his tenure with the Titans didn't necessarily go very well for him. And of course, there's the whole A.J. Brown piece as the sticking point there. But you can also look at that same situation and say, okay, he's had 2 years to really kind of sit, look at the league, learn from the mistakes that he made, which was really just a short-sighted tunnel vision in terms of how he was drafting, how he was maneuvering in acquiring and trading players. Louis Reddick is a little more interesting to me, though, right? Former player, you love that. Has, I want to say, about 13 years of front office-like experience, working up as a pro scout and then going all the way up to, director of player personnel type positions. But he's been out of the front office scene since 2013, right? And you still keep contacts. If I imagine if you're an individual like this, you're still plugged into kind of what's happening largely because you're an analyst, right? And you're going to use some of that for your stories, content, etc. But being out of a front office position for, 11, 12, 13 plus years isn't exciting to me. Also, I'm not quite sure. And I've talked about other guys, right? For example, the Seahawks, I want to say he was senior director of player personnel or something like that, right? We've talked about guys that haven't been an assistant GM or anything like that, but I'm definitely looking more so at the fact that he hasn't held a position like this in 10 plus years. He's had recent enough GM interviews that have conducted, so there's still a level of interest there. But this would be very similar to, I don't want to parlay it into this example, but it's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. Is like watching a Colin Kaepernick try to come back into the league after being out for 2, 3, 4 plus years, right? There's immediate question marks everywhere. Do you still have the arm power? Do you still have the ability to throw to all levels of the field? Is the accuracy there? Is the timing there? How will you fit into modernized schemes, which will be drastically different than what you've been playing in, 3, 4, 5 plus years ago. So not only that, what kind of staff can he piece together? I would say if, for example, let's say he gets interviewed next week, let's say in a wild turn of events, he gets hired after next week's interview. What is the level of confidence among New York Jets fans, right? What has he necessarily accomplished at those high levels that would make you look and say, this guy can get the job done over any of a lot of the guys that we've talked about already, right? And there's those of us that are twiddling our fingers and second, maybe even triple guessing guys like Borgonzi from the Chiefs, for example. So I don't know what would make Louis Reddick be set apart from a lot of these guys. And again, just thinking about the criteria piece of this, what boxes does he check off that would make him a applicable interviewee, right? If this is just a situation where the Jets are saying now, we're going to interview any and everybody that's available to us and then kind of make determinations based off what we're hearing. That's different, but that also isn't the initial conversation, the initial feel and understanding that I got from Rick Spielman. So that's just kind of the standpoint that I'm from. It's not to necessarily say that Louis Reddick is a bad candidate whatsoever, even though it definitely sounds like that, I'll admit, but more so just a little bit of confusion and doesn't seem in line with kind of what the initial expectations were. So let me know your guys' thoughts. I don't think I plan on doing a breakdown for Louis Reddick by chance, but who knows? Let me know what you guys think. If you have any details, etc. Let me know if you think I'm super far off base here as well. But yeah, I'll leave it up to you guys. Let me know and I'll catch you again. Peace.